Hello, and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at the Canadian Hydrogen Convention 2023. I'm delighted to have sitting next to me in the studio Jessica Verhagen, CEO of Hydra Energy, to come and talk about why hydrogen is so important in the transportation sector. Thanks for joining me, Jessica.
Thank you for having me.
And can you just start off by telling me more about what is Hydra Energy and what you're doing in the hydrogen space?
Absolutely. We're a technology company. We're based in Vancouver. We have a co-combustion kit that we install on heavy-duty trucks to enable them to run up to 40% hydrogen, blended in with diesel as the remainder. And I think where our difference really lies is it's available today. It's not something you have to wait 10 years down the line for. And it's the customer focus that we have on providing something that's actually economical for them to adopt. Rather than an outlay of capital up front, they actually save money by working with us. So in the hydrogen space, that's a rare commodity at the moment. Yeah.
And can you tell me a bit more about your Prince George station, what it is, and then also is that possible to scale up in other parts of the world and all other areas of Canada?
So Prince George is in northeastern British Columbia, for those in the audience that might not be familiar with the location. It's all along a northern trucking corridor for Canada. That's quite popular. Actually, it connects to Edmonton here along Highway 16 and then goes west to Prince Rupert, which is Canada's third largest port at the moment. So a lot of heavy-duty trucking going there. That's why we selected that region along with Edmonton to create a corridor. And in Prince George specifically, we wanted to bring supply and demand together. There's always this chicken and egg classic issue in the hydrogen space of, do you focus on supply, do you focus on demand? So we thought, well, let's bring it together in one project so we can demonstrate that it is possible and that it's profitable. The station is actually the world's largest hydrogen refueling station. It will have up to 82 trucks filling up at that station that are locally based in Prince George. We focus on return to base because there isn't that huge system set up yet of hydrogen infrastructure. And there's still about 23% of trucks that are coming back to base again. So it works for a go-to-market strategy. Of course, we'd love to expand from there, but it's a good place to start. Everyone needs focus.
That's really interesting. And what have you learned since you've been setting it up? You said this corridor, and I assume that could cover much larger area space in Canada.
Yeah, definitely. I think two key lessons that we learned was the closer the hydrogen production is to where you're using the hydrogen, the better. So we're actually doing electrolysis on site, pulling off the BC Hydro grid. And then I think the second piece that we learned is it's expensive to build the facility. So we're a startup. We don't have the deepest pockets. It works best for us to move those items off our balance sheet and just focus on our core technology and improving that for our customers and signing up fleets. So for us, it really became a question of, what makes a good partnership? And we're looking at, licensing the technologies to others that have plans to produce large volumes of hydrogen, but don't have the offtake commitments yet, because heavy-duty trucking is a big fuel consumer. They actually can take large volumes of hydrogen at a higher cost than other industrial applications of hydrogen. So that's been kind of our big two learnings. And then I would say also having, that first fleet contracted and paying a lot of attention to, what kind of fleet is that? Because they end up being your reference customer, not just to other fleets, but to your investors as well.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on what I've heard here in the studio and I've been hearing around the convention is the need for partnership and collaboration in the hydrogen space. It's a burgeoning industry, and you've not answered it, but you mentioned it there. But yeah, how important is that?
It's huge. I don't think one thing can move forward fully without partnership. So for us, it's having the production side being partnered with us. So we represent demand, and we have to look for the right supply partners. And that's just at the high level, though. If you take it a step further down, we wouldn't have a successful business if we didn't have customers, right? So it's beyond the supply of hydrogen. We also have to look at who's using our technology, have a business case for the fleets, and then think through all the questions that the fleets think through. And we've been grateful for all the support we've gotten from the fleets and the candid feedback. We're working now closely with First Truck. They're one of Canada's largest Daimler dealerships. And what that's allowed us to do is really think through the whole repair, maintenance, and installation process and create a lot of time savings with their advice on board.
It's really interesting, Jessica. And obviously here in Edmonton for the show. What are you specifically doing in Edmonton then?
Yeah, good question. We've struck a partnership that we announced at the last convention last year. I call it Hydra's coming out party in Edmonton in a way, because there's so much going on, as you know, in Edmonton for hydrogen. And we're really pleased to partner with the Edmonton International Airport on securing some hydrogen supply from that location, and also working with their airside fleet. Some of the larger diesel consumers in their fleet is a perfect match for our heavy duty technology. And it shows the platform really being agnostic to the type of vehicle, type of engine, being able to have that seamless integration into new vehicles we haven't done before.
It's really interesting to hear. And yeah, I've been hearing how much is going on in Edmonton around hydrogen. And how important is hydrogen for the transportation sector? I know we've touched on it, and you've just talked about the aviation there, but when people think of hydrogen, they might not automatically think of transportation.
Yeah, I think in Alberta especially, a lot of people think about pipeline blending because there's such a big oil and gas presence in the province. But for transportation, it's huge. It's an abundant energy form. It's very energy dense when it's compressed or liquefied. So it's a great, low carbon solution. And it gets over some of the humps that you would see in Canada or other countries that are more resource based. They have heavier loads. And I think for the transportation sector, it really represents a viable solution that maybe we can't get to for a number of years on, say, electric vehicles. It's something that hydrogen can start filling the gap. There's different applications that have different uses for different technologies, and I think hydrogen really fits into that heavy-duty segment very well.
Thanks, Jessica. Really interesting to hear. And just before we go, we're here at the Canadian Hydrogen Convention. You mentioned you came here last year. This is its second edition. How have you seen it grown, and what have you learned so far?
Well, it's doubled in size. We certainly benefited last year from getting the exposure, and it's just really nice to reconnect with those partners and continue to build new partnerships with everybody convening in the same location. That comment that you had about partners becomes much more easy to execute when you're actually in front of everyone. I think we're all a little bit zoomed out at this point in time, so it's really lovely to have that face-to-face connection to build the trust and facilitate the relationship faster.
Well, Jessica, I really appreciate giving me your time today on this busy day at the Canadian Hydrogen Convention, and sharing why hydrogen is so important in the transportation sector. Sounds like exciting times ahead for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for watching. I'll be bringing more studio interviews on the show floor in the coming days.